Radio. We go ham. It's your boy Tony G and Big Lou on the Sportsbook every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. A lot of crazy football, a lot of money to be met. There was a lot of money won and lost this weekend. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
College football. There was a couple of them that we said we talked about Georgia Tech. We said Georgia Tech was going to play them tough, and they did.
Yes, they did.
And Georgia beat them by 2. So if you took the spread, you were good. Colorado, of course, just kept rolling on what they were doing. Oregon won. Michigan State beating Ohio State. I know. Holy cow.
Man. Yeah. Number 2 ranked Ohio State. And then, of course, the melee that happened after the game with the flag planting, and that just turned into a whole fiasco. I'm starting to think, and I don't want to be that guy because I played, and I'm all about, I'm all about toughness in our football, but they got to do something with this flag planting thing. Now that we see where it's going. That might be something that the NCAA might look into, to where it's like, nah, you can't storm the field. That's what college is. But this flag planting thing, I think they're going to look at that and they're going to do away with that because of what happened.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah,
it's disrespectful if it's an away game. A lot of emotions, and it's just. And I hate to be the party pooper like you. I hate to be the party pooper, but there's just levels of respect that you got to have.
Absolutely.
And I think that's definitely something they're definitely something going to have to look at. Texas had a hard time with Texas A&M. My hat's off to Texas A&M hanging in. Penn State did what they did. Notre Dame handled their business, and Syracuse upsetting. In the Dome, in Syracuse, New York, Miami. That was a
wow. That was a game. That was a game too. And for Syracuse to pull off that victory, my hat's off to them because they've been looking the part all season. We don't get to see them that much because they're up north, but they've been looking the part in their division, and to see them take Miami down, yeah. Kudos to them. That was a big win for them.
Kudos to them. Now going to the NFL, let's go to the NFL. Let's get right to the meat and potatoes, as they say. I'm trying to pull up. My internet's being a little funky. Hold on one second. Let's go NFL. All right. This is not what we want to do. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get it to.
All right. Yeah,
trying to get it.
Okay, wasn't such a good week for me on the betting side, but that's okay. Came close. I had to cash out on a couple. Sometimes when you're in the fourth quarter, it's fourth quarter, you got like 8 minutes left, and your guy needs 25 yards, and he's only got 8. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead, and a win's a win, no matter how you get it.
Absolutely. I always tell people, if you're going to bet, especially if you bet on the app, always look out the cash out options and really evaluate it. Don't be greedy. The Thursday games, Detroit and Chicago. So I saw some. So I'm not gonna. I know people are gonna be like, you're leading this up to something, but Detroit's a powerhouse.
Yes.
They have a lot of injuries. Chicago, I don't know what they were thinking the last play. Just let 38 seconds just go off. The coach is fired. Got that. Understand that. The thing that scares me about Detroit, and this is what I was trying to tell someone from Buffalo, because Buffalo will be playing Detroit. The thing that scares me about Detroit is Campbell is one of these guys that he can get every inch. He can take a backup running back and give him the speech and make that man run like Walter Payton for one game.
Yeah.
He has that ability and his emotion, and that's what scares me most about Detroit. Not golf, not the running game, not the defense. Him motivating them enough to win one game.
Yeah.
So Detroit got by this one. Detroit got by this one. I ain't gonna lie. They got by this one. Chicago had them there. Just could not put them away. Couldn't figure it out, but I guess that's why Chicago's Chicago and Detroit's Detroit. Dallas and New York. I did take Dallas. Don't usually bet on Dallas, but the Giants made a game of this somewhat. 27-20. I teased it down. And good game. Really, all the games on Thanksgiving Day were good. They were all good games.
Yeah, they're all good games.
Yeah. Green Bay put it on Miami, pretty much knocked them out of contention. I had picked Green Bay. Had a good Thanksgiving. Yeah. They were just too much for Miami. Jordan Love's really kind of, he's just kind of coming to their own. Green Bay, everybody's fighting for home field advantage. There's no doubt about that. Everybody wants to play at home. Kansas City and the Vegas Raiders. I knew we talked about this. We said it was going to be a tight game. Of course, Kansas City is way better on paper, but the Raiders, a lot of people are talking a lot of smack about Kansas City. Got the refs in the pocket. They managed to keep squeaking by. You know what I mean?
They just find ways to win. And, you can holler what you want. You can holler refs. You can holler, this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it comes down to coaching and player execution. And it doesn't matter who your opponent is. When you have to play against Andy Reid, you're going to have to coach. You're going to have to coach that whole game. Those 60 minutes in that game, you're going to have to coach that. So, it's tense when you're playing the Chiefs because we all know they're hurting. We all know that they're out of soup, but they keep winning football games, and we understand the circumstances, but that's just execution. Block hits, special teams execution. Just things just happen. But, no one controls the way the ball bounces. No one can control that. So, you just got to keep, if they keep winning, you got to keep going with it, And for them to have the record they have, and this is the worst they've played in the last, 4 or 5 seasons, and they're still on top. So,
yes,
I don't know. Now, where it might bite them is in the playoffs because there's no series. Every game is a game 7. So that's where it might cost them, but I think they're going to come back with that focus. But if they're squinching by, it's going to be hard in the playoffs because everything gets dialed up. So we'll see in the playoffs, but if they get home field advantage, kudos. And it looks like that's going to happen because of their record.
Yes, definitely looks like that. Chargers and the Falcons. The Chargers playing hardball ball, not making a lot of mistakes, not putting too much emphasis on Herbert to win the game. They squeeze by. The Falcons, Cousins he's just having a rough time.
Typical,
it's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah, it's typical Kirk. He's going to amaze you, and then he's going to fall back to earth a little bit. And we see it. When he was in Minnesota, we saw it. And it looks like we're seeing it in Atlanta too.
Well, he had 4 interceptions, and really, the Chargers should have won by way more than they did, but they kept it close. The thing is a lot of people don't realize about Atlanta. Atlanta has a decent defense, but they have a lot of money spent on the offense. Kirk Cousins, a couple defensive, a couple of guards, a center. They got some money spent, and the offense just ain't producing. Like I said, the defense they haven't spent as much money. I mean, they spent a lot of money on the offense, and they need some answers. And there's no doubt about that. In the next game, I'm going to tell you this: if you had the kahunas to parlay Wilson with his yardage and to score three plus touchdowns, you made some money because Wilson had a day. I mean, he had a day. He covered I think his yardage was 250, 260 through for 414, and he had 3 TDs. It was a huge payday. Joe Burrow had 3. I mean, Joe Burrow was going to throw for some touchdowns. He had one interception. Like I said, they just need Burrow needs a lot of help there. He's a 2 pony, 3 pony show at best. And the Steelers for right now, and we'll see because we've seen them go 13-3. I mean, they went toe to toe with the Bengals, but the Bengals aren't the greatest. The playoffs will be interesting.
Right.
The Vikings and the Cardinals, my hat's off to Sam Darnold, just keeps finding a way to win. A lot of people who they criticize him. I don't find a lot, I mean, like I said, he's in a good position. They definitely have a good offensive coordinator, a good defensive coordinator. They show you a lot of different looks. They're 10-2. Do you know what I mean? They're 10-2. So you're going to have to, you're definitely going to have to, they may even win a home field advantage. We'll see. There's some games coming up this weekend that could be a game changer. And it just depends on how a lot of teams take this weekend because they've already clinched the division. Are they going to go for home field? Are they going to lay off? But my hat's off to the Vikings. Sam Darnold having a day. The Colts and the Patriots, that was a good game too. We didn't really we said stay away from it. But it was a very good game. I mean, it was a good game, and they were Drake Mays had 238 yards. Richardson, he threw for 109 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 TDs, nothing spectacular, but they managed to squeeze out the win.
And I think the Patriots have found their quarterback in Drake May. I think they found their quarterback in Drake May.
I think so too. Yeah,
I
do too. I know a lot of people. He needs help. At least you have a starting point. And I think that's a good. I think that's you got to have a starting point. I think they got a starting point. Seattle and the Jets. Man, the Jets lost another one. Seattle. I don't know. They were talking today. I was listening to a lot of talk radio. They're like, well, is Rodgers going to go out like this? And I mean, at some point, you just got to say, hey, man, I'm going to be 42 years old.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much more we have in the tank. Because the Jets itself just aren't a good team.
No, they
just not a
good team. They got a lot of work to do. I mean, they have to get an experienced coach. I don't think they have the Jets. They can't afford, they can't afford to take the bargain way through this. They got to get a coach in there that's well respected, that the players will respect. This whole Aaron Rodgers thing definitely was crash and burn, especially when you got the owner talking about it week 4, he was going to bench him for Tyrod Taylor, So
right.
it kind of makes me think, well, did you really even want this guy, or was you listening to someone else? But he has to go. He has to go because I think that's probably part the Aaron Rodgers aura or what comes with that. I think it's messing with the morale of the football team entirely because of he was basically handled the key. He was basically handed the keys to the organization, and it doesn't gel when you got a team, and then you got okay. I'll put my life on the line every week for this guy, and he shows up when he wants to. He do whatever he wants. So why am I risking my life when he's not? So he's got to get they got to get him out of it, and they got to start over, start anew, start fresh. Now, where will he go? That remains to be seen because he hasn't proven or shown anything to where somebody would want to hurry up and get him. Besides Las Vegas, and I don't even think they would even take a shot at him. So maybe he just
Yeah,
needs
I mean
to
they're
reset and reevaluate what he really wants to do because this football game it doesn't look like this football game is where it's at.
interesting footnote is for the Cowboys and the Giants. Now we're moving backwards. The
Mhm.
viewership was 38 million people, which is a lot.
That's a
That's a
lot for
lot.
two teams.
That is a lot.
For two teams that's doing this,
Well,
so the ratings are there.
yes, that's
The
exact.
ratings are there. Yeah.
Right, Rams are there. The Titans and the Commanders. I thought the Titans were going to give them a little bit more, but the Commanders came in and handled their business.
Yes, they did. I thought that was
And
going to
they're
be a closer game
yeah,
too.
but they're a young team. I mean, rookie quarterback. I mean, they're definitely moving in the right direction. Um, they, um, yeah, they handle business. They're going to be, like I said, they're going to be in the playoffs underneath Philly. There's no doubt. It'll be interesting to see what they can pull off. But
Mhm.
I mean, they're moving in the right direction. I think with some acquisitions during the offseason, they're definitely be something to play with, something not to play with next season. The Texans and the Jaguars. What'd you think of that hit?
Uh, had now,
Just
so I won't be long winded about it. He was already in the slide, you know,
yes,
and I think had he not led with the forearm, because he kind of led with his forearm a little bit. Had the forearm not came up, then yes, he would have been flagged for it, but I don't think it would have been as egregious as it was. But
okay,
and I get it on the defensive side, not just to be that guy, but I get it on the defensive side. Adrenaline, you're already headed that way. Then he slides. So how do I just cut that off? You know, you keep running. I mean, especially when you're going down. But he was already in the slide, so you have to do that. But that's what practice is for. But some guys, they be in the moment, and it's just a costly mistake, costly mistake, because they're gonna kill you every
yeah,
time.
it was. Yeah, so watching it. I mean, you can watch it from a lot of different angles. You can get. I mean, one angle, it looks like he was just being a headhunter. Another
Hmm.
angle, you're like, well, he couldn't really pull up, and that
Yeah, he was
caused the
already committed.
melee. Yeah, he really was. He was already committed. It just came out to be a bad setup. Hell of a game though. They gave him
Yes.
hell. Um,
Yeah.
23-20. Going to the next game, Rams and Saints. This is the one that we said, man, if the Saints could win this, remember we said if they could win two of the next three, maybe
Hmm.
they could have a chance, and just didn't work out. 21-14. Um,
I
Carr
think
had
this.
184, had no interceptions.
No interceptions, 184. I was about to say he didn't throw any interceptions and he threw for 184, but I don't think he's like down there a lot. So I don't feel it's like sometimes you can feel it when a team rides for their quarterback, like say Patrick Mahomes or even the newcomers, even the Caleb's
Sure, sure.
and the Lamars, and the Burrows. I don't feel that with them guys down there with Derek Carr. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I may be wrong. And if some safe fans out there that have a different opinion, please hit us in the comments and email us and let me know, what's going on with that. Or maybe if it's just me, I just don't feel like the team really trusts or embraces him as their leader. He's their quarterback, but they don't give him leader respect. I don't see it. And maybe it's the early barking, you know, pointing fingers instead of falling on the sword. Maybe that was it from earlier. But it just seems like to me, I don't see that, you know, ride or die for my quarterback. Like I say, I could be wrong. And if I
Now
am,
looking at
someone
it,
let me know.
start look, start looking like maybe it's not a good fit. Going into the Bucks, I had the Bucks and managed to get a push out of this
Hmm.
because they let the Panthers come down and score, and they didn't get the 2-point conversions. My hat's off to Bryce Young. He had a good day. He didn't throw
Yes.
any interceptions. They did lose. Baker had 2 interceptions. The rushing, Irving just had a crazy day with he had like 153, I believe.
Hmm.
Took him to overtime. Uh, yeah, Baker had this is the time of year where these teams that ain't got nothing to lose are playing like they ain't got nothing to lose. So you got to
Right.
watch. Some of them could be setup games. Eagles and the Ravens. The Eagles are playing really good football, and they
Hmm.
really, they if you look at the box, okay, Derrick Henry had 82 yards, not a bad day, but it seems like when you can keep him under 100 and then Lamar gets 80, who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's like they can't it's like you're boxing them up. Um
Hmm.
Saquon had 107 yards, one
Yes.
TD.
Yes.
Um it was 24-19. I mean, it was a good game. The Eagles are one of the tough. I mean, they're them and Detroit are neck and neck to me in the
Hmm.
NFC.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly who's better. I know Detroit has more injuries than
Hmm.
they definitely have more injuries. And the
Right.
Ravens, at 8-5, they're going to win their division. I'm not worried about that, but they look beatable. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's just part of football. But the Eagles are 10-2. They're like I said, they're winning their division. I think they got to win one more, maybe. But
I think so.
because they got 4 games left, yeah. Um, so that being said, it was a good game. It was another. I mean, like we had a lot of good games, and then we had the
Hmm.
snow game. We had the Bills and the 49ers.
Yes,
I
sir.
feel, and I'm gonna say this, and I watched the 49ers, and being a Bills fan, everything that went wrong for them, being a Bills fan, I could relate to because I've seen it on the 1 yard line, fumbling, dropping
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, anything that could go wrong went wrong. Um, McCaffrey's on the IR again. I mean, yeah, I know
Yeah.
that's one of those things. Yeah, that's one. I'm gonna tell you about McCaffrey. In my opinion, at some point you got to start going. How many more years do I really have, and that I can play, and that I'm going to play a whole season? I mean,
Hmm.
I know he makes a difference, but man, he's been out. I mean, he's been a game changer when he's been there.
Hmm.
Um, but man, he's got a
And,
lot
ma-
of injuries. He's
and and they
He has
miss him when
definitely
he's
got a
gone.
lot of. Oh
They miss him
man, they
when he's
miss them
gone.
all. And Purdy, and like I said, that game was. Did you see the Cooper passed? That was something. The Cooper caught the ball and then passed it to Josh, and Josh
Oh
ran
yeah,
it in.
oh yeah.
Dude, I mean, I was just like, wow, this is
Growing into
sometimes
something
stuff is,
special.
yeah, it really is. It was, and that snow was coming down. They were getting
Oh my goodness.
hammered.
Yeah, they was in the
Yeah,
business.
and I didn't think, so San Fran plays in cold weather, mostly rainy, cold weather.
Hmm.
So I didn't think the cold was messing with them. I mean, the wind was bad. The guy, me missed field goal. There was a lot. Like I said, they just couldn't catch a break. And then Buffalo was just capitalizing. And I think, let me see. I want to pull this up. I want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing. The Buffalo ran for over 220 yards. I mean, they were just running. They were just
Hmm.
running down the field. Um, and Josh, because Josh only had 148 yards. I mean, it was hard to pass, but he did manage to get a
Hmm.
couple passes off. I was kind of impressed with, because I was like, "Ooh, that was a heck of a throw," and that particular weather.
Right.
But it was a good game. I think San Fran's they've had too many injuries. Um,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
too
Too
many
many.
injuries.
Too many.
They yeah, and I think it's maybe they can squeeze out a playoff berth, but man, but not being staffed, I just don't think they. I just don't think they have. It's just too hard of a. It's too much of a task. Too much talent in the
And,
NFC. Um,
yeah, and too hard of a division because you even got Seattle and Arizona. They're playing tough. You
yeah,
know, they're playing tough. So you can go in either one of those places and lose. So
yeah,
it's gonna hurt for them. I got a good friend of mine. He's a 49 fan. It's gonna hurt, but you know, injuries is a part of the game. And without
and that
McCaffrey,
and they have
and then you got Trent Williams that's dinged up a little bit. So
yeah. Oh, they got a bunch. They like I said, they
you
just
gotta
have
got a bunch of
unbelievable
people.
amount.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of people out. All right, guys, when we get back, we're going to give you our picks for next week where the money's at. I want to thank everyone for tuning in every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock on KM Radio. Don't forget to go to our Facebook page, Sportsbook or KM Radio. If you got an event you need us to talk about or you want to just get on the air, hit us up. All right, we'll be back in 2 and 2 right here on KM Radio where we go ham.
Hell.
It's Tony G and Big Lou on KM Radio, the sports book, every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Now it's time to make some money. The Thursday night game is a big game. It's Detroit and Green Bay. These are two teams that will meet in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised. They may meet in the playoffs. They got Detroit minus 3.5. They got the
Hmm.
over 51.5. Who do you like in this? And I'm gonna tell you who I like.
Uh Man, I ride with Detroit at home. I ride with them at home. Uh, you know, I, I like I like Green Bay, but I think Jordan Love is gonna make that turnover. I think Jordan Love is gonna either make that turnover or miss that one play that may give them the dub. But that's that's just me. That's just me and what I'm feeling from this game. Because Detroit's a hard, it's hard to play them at home, especially with how everything is moving and you can count on Greer and Montgomery every time. So if y'all like me and y'all bet parlay legs, go with Montgomery and Greer I do them every time. Anytime touchdowns and yardage. Every time. They're gonna come through for you. You know. I've lost some bets, but not because of them two. So yeah, I'm gonna ride with the Lions on this one. Although I know the Packers have the talent to do it, they also have a good running back. They also have a great quarterback. I just think that I had to go with golf before I had to go with golf before love,
Sure.
and I know it's going to get some backlash for that, but that's just how I feel. I think golf is a better quarterback right there.
So Montgomery's minus 185 anytime. Uh, Gibbs is minus 170. St. Brown is plus 116 anytime.
Yeah, I ride with him too.
So there's definitely some props in there to be made. Like I said,
Yeah.
I would take that. So my thing is I would take Detroit and I would tease it down to 3, get rid of that hook,
Hmm.
on the 51.5.
Yeah.
Maybe even take it to 49. Let's see. Let's see what we can do here. We'll see what we can, because I think, a lot of people are like, oh man, you're giving up. I said, I mean, I understand what I'm giving up, but sometimes it's better to give up a little than to Green Bay. And if you take Green Bay, if you take Detroit at minus, if you take Detroit at minus 1.5, that's minus 178.
Hmm.
And so at minus 2, it's 170. That's doable. Some people may disagree. The over, um, like I said, I would try to tweak them down a little bit, just because I don't like the hooks on them. The
Hmm.
hook always seems to get you. Um, but I like Detroit. I like Detroit. I like Montgomery. There's a lot of action in that. Let's see if we can get the. But yeah, I like Detroit at home. Um, and I like the over. Atlanta and Minnesota. You think Atlanta can put it back together and give Minnesota? Now, Minnesota has a tendency to uh, keep a game close. I
Hmm.
like them. I like them, but I don't like the 5 because a lot of times they're another squeaker by. But I think Atlanta's having some problems, and I think they're going to continue to have problems. I
Right.
think that offense
Because
just isn't that off. Yeah, it just isn't clicking. You know what I mean? It just isn't clicking.
right, and they're on the road,
Um,
and we know Atlanta NFC South teams don't play very well on the road.
no, they really don't. They just you look at the stats. Um, you like I said, you can look at the stats, and that
Hmm.
will definitely. But I like Minnesota. Um, maybe tweak the 5. I'm always saying tweak the 5. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, Carolina and the Eagles. So they're giving Carolina 12.5 points. So this is one of those deals where you go, well, man, Philadelphia is a way better team. They are,
Hmm.
but are they going to play down to Carolina Panthers?
Right.
I'm not questioning that. I'm not questioning that they're going to win because the money line they're minus 700, so there ain't no money there. Um, so it's just about the spread, and I would watch this come game day because this may shoot up more than that.
Hmm.
Um, and Carolina's been, I ain't saying they're great. They're not great, but they may play. They ain't got nothing to lose. And
Right.
Philly, to be honest with you, if Philly jumps out by 20 points, are they going to pull everybody?
Right. They're
That's
gonna lift their
that's the
foot. Yeah, they're
that's
gonna lift the foot off the gas, and that's when Carolina
that's the
attacks.
right. And all they got to do is score one touchdown, and they're in the mix with the points. That's
Hmm.
the thing. I mean, that's the because I'm telling you, I have a funny feeling. Watch this on Sunday. Don't be surprised if it's at 13 and a half. Um,
Right.
you know what I mean? And like I said, I think Philly's going to win, but I don't think that I don't think mathematically you can. And then that's the other thing about checking all the different. If you're going to play multiple spots, you may be able to get Carolina plus 14 somewhere else for 110.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the thing, if you because there's a lot of books. My gosh, there's so many books. The ones we
Hmm.
always talk about: Caesars, MGM, ESPN's 365, um,
Yeah. FanDuel.
FanDuel. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many, and they're all given different odds. They're
Hmm.
within, but you may get Carolina with 14. But if people put a bunch of money on Philly, watch Carolina because, like I said, I mean, here's the point: when Philly gets up too much, I believe they're going to pull. Why would
Hmm.
you leave anybody in there? You've already got
Right.
your division. Nobody's come. You've already winning. I mean, Washington may, but most likely you got the division. So that being said, and that's the other key is like them pulling players, and then you're like, well, what happened? They're pulling players. They're trying to protect. I mean, they're going to win, but it's the spread that may get them.
Right.
The Raiders in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. And this is another one. This is can Baker Mayfield come back and are the Raiders they're going to have to go to Tampa?
Hmm.
The Raiders they pull some weird games. I mean they don't have a great record, but at times they play tough. Um,
Hmm.
I mean I definitely like Tampa. Um, and the over's 45. That's doable.
Hmm.
Um, but I like Tampa. Mess around with that spread a little bit. Mess around with the over. Um, But like I said, the Raiders don't, and we're getting to that part of the year where they have nothing to play for.
No,
The Raiders are playing
we're
for
playing for
nothing.
the number one pick. So
Yeah, and yeah,
yeah.
right. That's exactly what they're playing for. And Tampa's trying to get into the playoffs, and it
Hmm.
kind of could change. Kind of can change a lot. And the weather should be good in Tampa. It's going to be any big deal. Um,
Right.
Next couple games we got coming up is going to be some weird stuff. But so we got the Jets in Miami.
Hmm.
They're playing in Miami. I like Miami.
Yeah.
Um, it's a conference game. It should be close.
Hmm.
Um, Neither one of them are playing for anything. They're not playing. They're just playing for respect.
Right.
But I do like Miami at home. Um, and depending on, I'd have to look on Sunday and see who's out, who's in.
Hmm.
I also like the over. Um, I think this year, I think at the end of this year, I think Miami looks, my personal opinion, I think Miami looks at some stuff and go, okay, what do we need to do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I think we got to look at it and go, we need to make some serious changes because we're not,
Hmm.
we're not really getting anywhere. Um, we got an explosive quarterback when he's healthy. Um, we got Tyreek Hill. Okay, cool, but we're not winning anything. Um,
Right.
and obviously the Jets are implosion from the get go.
Hmm.
Um, so tell me about the Saints and the Giants. Tell me about that game.
Saints and Giants. They Saints should win this game, but they're in New York. Even though New York's 2-10, Saints are 4-8.
Going to be cold.
Yeah, it's going to be cold, and they don't. And like I said, NFC South teams don't play well on the road, especially when most of two of the teams out of our division play in domes. So And I they should be talented enough to win this game. I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to win this game on the road in New York in that weather. Because we're still working with the intern coach, even though he's a special team coach, still working with an intern coach. So can he play situational football to win? Sometimes you got to strategize your way to it, especially on the road. You got everything against you, weather,
And you
crowd, you know.
and then you guys lost what's the name for the rest of the season? What's his
Uh,
name? Swiss knife.
Jason, Taysom Hill.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah,
done, right?
he's done for the season. So that any special packages that just wipe that out. Now you got to rely on David Carr and the rest of the offense. So although I'm a
Yeah,
Saints guy,
that's going to be.
but I'm a realist.
I'm a
I'm a
realist, and I
realist.
like it. I like the Saints. Maybe take it down to 3, depending
Mhm.
on how bad the weather is there.
Right. Like I said, they should. The Saints are a better team on paper. They should be. They should win this game. They should. I just don't trust. There's only certain teams I trust the Saints against on the road, and New York's not one of them because of because it's New York and because of the conditions around it. But they should
Yes,
win this game, talent wise. But
I
we have to
agree.
see.
All right, and yeah, like I said, um, it's going to be something. That's for sure. Um, Jacksonville and Tennessee. This is 2 teams playing for nothing.
Right.
But
Their
with
division, yeah, their
yeah,
division rival.
so
So
is
they should give us a
so is
game. They
Sun.
should.
Yeah, so is Sunshine out? Is he done for
I
the
had to check.
Jaguars?
I had to check. I think he's still under the concussion protocol. Am I correct?
That's what I. Yeah. So at that point, I like Tennessee um,
Mm-hmm.
at home. Um,
Yeah.
I like Tennessee at home, uh, and I like the under.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, these are 2 teams just playing for absolutely nothing but pride. And sometimes pride alone can make for a really good game. I think this will be
Mm-hmm.
a really good game. And then we got Seattle and the Cardinals. I,
That should
I
be a good
like,
game as well.
that should be a real good game. Seattle's getting 2.5, which is basically 3 points. Um, the Cardinals are playing at home, but Geno Smith, they're making a stand. I like Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I like Seattle. What's Seattle's record?
Seattle
They're
seven
both,
and five, 7-5,
and then
and the
Eric.
Cardinals are 6-6. They're at 500.
Yeah, so they're both fighting for a shot. This ought to be a really, really good game. It's a 3:05 game or
Mm-hmm.
3 o'clock game, whatever. I like.
So it should be a good game because it's crucial for both teams. So it should be a good game.
Yes, should be a very good game. Next game is the Bills and the Rams. So this gets tricky, and this is where things get weird in the NFL. So the Bills have already clinched their division.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how long are we going to have Josh playing in the game? And the
That
other thing
part.
is that part, and then we go back in history, and I remember Peyton Manning. Um, I remember the Colts doing their thing, and then sitting everybody for the last couple games, and then getting smoked in the playoffs. And it's kind of one of those weird things is we've already clinched the division, but we don't want to get dull. I think Josh plays for the first half. And depending where they're at is depending. Like I said, they've already clinched their division. They don't have nothing else, but they are trying to win home field advantage. They want home field advantage. They want Kansas City to come to Buffalo.
Absolutely.
So, and they're only one game out, and if they tie, Buffalo owns the tie. So I think Buffalo's going to have their foot on it. But the Rams are this team that we've talked about before, is you just don't know what Ram team is going to be there.
Right. Absolutely. It's two different teams that play with the same players. You'll have that Rams team that look like, these guys are a legitimate playoff team. We'll get those Rams.
Yeah.
And then we'll get the Rams but y'all got Matthew Stafford and all this talent. What's going on? So
and they'll look terrible. They'll look terrible.
Right. So two different dynamics on this, so it's hard. It's kind of hard for me to bet on those guys.
I think the Bills come out and they try to jump out on a huge lead so they can put in Trubinsky in there and let him coast through it. I like Buffalo. Like I said, I would take him at the 4, get rid of that hook. Coming off a big win, the weather shouldn't be a factor at all in Los Angeles. They definitely are coming off a big win. All right, Chicago and San Fran. I'm expecting San Fran to bounce back off the loss. I think this game is going to be. See if we can get it pulled back up. All right, here we go. 7-7, baseball, football. There we go. NFL. But I'm expecting this game to be kind of tight. McCaffrey's not there. They got Debo. I mean, there's all kind of people out, but they're playing at home. I'm expecting San Francisco to win this game. And at home over the Bears, bouncing back after that loss. I mean, they got a hell of a setup there. And the Bears are feisty, but I like San Fran at home. And watch the weather. If you're going to bet the over, because it could be cold and rainy, like a monsoon there. There's no doubt about that. Now, this next game is tricky, but I don't think it's that tricky. Los Angeles Chargers against Kansas City. Kansas City. Let's say so the spread's 4. Okay. Spread's 4. Man, take the spread up to 6.5. It's -170. That's given. I don't care because the Chiefs have a problem with covering the spread. So my thing is you've seen what they've done the last couple of weeks. They've won by 2. They've won by 3. And the Chargers are playing. I'm going to tell you about Harbaugh's got them playing good football. They have weaknesses. Don't get me wrong. The only other factor, there's a couple factors. One is how bad is the weather going to be? And can the Chargers make the adjust in the cold weather? As we saw, San Fran had a problem in Buffalo with the snow. So you got a warm team coming to play Kansas City. But Kansas City is their offense is not what it once was. But they steadily keep winning. I like the Chargers plus 6.5 at -170. And like I said, wait till Sunday, man. Wait till Sunday and see where it's at. Because I think, to be honest with you, I think you're going to see a bunch of people betting the Chiefs, and let them bet the Chiefs. Maybe that spread goes up to 7, and and you can take the Chargers. And not that Kansas City is going to lose, but I just don't think they can cover the spread. And that's the whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole other thing that people don't realize is Kansas City's not covering any spreads. They're barely getting by. They're winning.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning a bunch of games. And they're 10-1 or whatever they are, 10-1, 11-1, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one game where I feel like Harbaugh, he got to be our friend. I think if Buffalo can win, and he can beat the Chargers, because he's a great coach. There's no doubt about it. I may not care for him exactly, but Kansas City's got some weaknesses this year where they normally didn't have. So he's in a good spot, and he's got his quarterback play is. What he's done is he's taken it out of his hands to say, "Hey, you don't have to win the game. I just need you to not make any mistakes. Do what we need you to do. We're going to run the ball. We're going to do. We're going to, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't always put it. Every game shouldn't be on the quarterback. All the great teams, it shouldn't always be on the quarterback. Like, hey, you got to play super for us to win. No, we're going to give you weapons. We're going to give you a good game plan. And like I said, the weather is the thing. But wait till Sunday, because I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a lot of people dump a lot of money on Kansas City, which would change the line. You might be able to, then all of a sudden you might be able to get. It may go to 5, and then you can squeeze it out, and take it to 8.5 at the same 170. And I like the Chargers at 8.5. I don't see Kansas City blowing them out. I can see Kansas City winning, but I can't. I don't see them blowing them out. So that being said, I like the Chargers with the spread. However you tease it, however you make it, I like the Chargers with the spread. Cincinnati Bengals with the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Let's talk about this game. If you like player props, you better bet the player props, because Joe Burrow's going to have a good game. Win, lose, or draw, he's going to put up some yardage. Chase is going to have a good game. So there's some anytime touchdowns that you have, and I'm just going to tell you like this: this is going to be the dagger in Dallas's heart.
Yeah,
Cincinnati's going to come into Dallas, and they're going to light them up, and they're not going to be able to keep up. That's one thing. Cincinnati's lost a lot of games, but they can put up some points. The over's 49.5, but they can put up some points, and we already know Dallas's defense is suspect. And they can get their hands on Burrow. That's another thing. They can sack him 7 times. It doesn't matter. He's still going to put up the numbers. That's the point. If this kid could ever get some protection, he would be scary. So that being said, Cincinnati Bengals -5.5 over the Cowboys. I don't know about the spread just yet, because the reason why I say that, I don't know how many points Cooper can score against Cincinnati, but I know Cincinnati is going to put up 28 on the Dallas's defense. I'm confident of that. Because they're going to put them deep. Because that's what Joe Burrow does. He's going to put them deep, and the Cowboys are going to fade. The Cowboys are going to fade. He's going to keep putting up the points, and that's one thing that we've saw in all the competitions with the Cowboys. Whether you like me or whether you like the show, here's the deal: the Cowboys do not play good from behind. Haven't played good from behind in years. So that being said, guess what? He's going to throw that ball. And Chase are going to have a time of it, and they should definitely hit. He's got more wide receivers than Chase, but I'm just saying, him and Chase, good bets, and the other wide receiver, can't think of his name off the top of my head, but a lot of great prop bets, yards, anytime touchdown. This is going to be, like I said, I think this is going to be the dagger in Dallas's heart. I think this will put the playoff run over. because, like I said, Philly's winning the division. Washington's there, and they'd have to sneak in on that back end, and there's too many other teams. You got y'all's division. That's going to be the only person going out of that division is going to be the
Probably
winner of the
Tampa Bay.
division. Yeah,
Probably gonna be
right. You know
Tampa
what I'm
Bay.
saying? So yeah, it ain't going to be two teams out of that division. It's going to be one.
No.
And then you got Detroit's division. You know where they're at. So that being said, it just is what it is. I like the Bengals
Right.
-5.5, tweak it. All right, guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Another Tuesday night. I hope you guys make $1 million this weekend. Keep us in. Don't forget to hit us up on Facebook, the KM Radio Facebook. You got the Sportsbook Facebook. If you got any events, any kind of small business, like I said, we have a lot of businesses that we shout out all the time. Big Robbie's Billiards on Barksdale Boulevard, King of the Diamond Tables, SI Motorsports, truck lifts, truck rims, any kind of car rims, tires. Go by and see them. Once Upon a Diamond on Fairfield. I mean, we got all kinds of sponsors. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Hey, man, have a great one. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to everyone. Just remember on KM Radio, where we go,
Hell.